We are back into some NBHL action, and we are going back to the Philadelphia division. This time we're going to focus on Tier 2, but to join me, someone who's had a lot of experience in Philadelphia. Welcome back, Jason Kelly.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
All right, so first thing, before we get into the Philadelphia division, let's talk about the ISBHF World Championships, which happened just over a week ago. You and I both got to saw it. So I never expected to be calling a world game. So what kind of, I mean, you've coached the women's team. So what's it like being at the World Championships?
It's an experience that you can't put it down together with anything else. Like, my first time was back in 2009, and I remember walking in to the main stadium, and seeing 8,000 fans at a gold medal game between the Czech Republic and Team India, and I was kind of hooked. I remember coming home after that first time and telling my wife that I don't ever want to not be at the World Championships again. This past one was the first time my passport didn't get in time. My fault. I let it lapse too long, and I wound up missing out on being there. But luckily, I was able to jump in on the broadcasting crew with you guys and be involved and be able to watch the games there and call the games, which is pretty fun. I did that once before in Bermuda. Just kind of hopped on their live stream during our games and just called it out myself anyway for fun. And this time was a lot more professional. It was a good time.
Yeah, because I remember you telling me that you were supposed to be there, but a little bit of issues as far as getting into Canada. But we did get to see the women play. Last time when they participated in the World Championship, they came out with a silver. Unfortunately, did not meet the podium this time. But based on what you saw in the performance, how do you assess how they came out overall in this tournament?
Well, I mean, watching the girls play, I thought they were playing really well. Beating the Czech Republic 1-0 in that last semifinal game, I thought was great. It turns out coming into the playoffs, they had a lot of people turning up sick. I know by the end of the weekend, I think, more than half the team, came home and was sick. So I know going into the playoffs, they were a little under the weather, which is kind of unfortunate, but I thought they played really well. That bronze medal game, I believe that they outshot the Slovaks 42-20 something, almost double them in shots. The Slovak goaltender just turned out to be hot that day, and they were unable to capture that medal. While it's a disappointing finish, I think that the teams that they played were all really, really good. I thought that the girls played really well, and I think that they performed. We'll see what the team does after this, how they rebound for the next Worlds, and see what they can do.
Yeah, because they faced the Czech Republic twice. They faced them once in the round robin. They won that game 1-0. Then since then, they just simply got outplayed. I mean, the Czech Republic and Slovakia, they were fantastic teams, and I feel for them that they played a great tournament. And I've mentioned a few times during the broadcast that I was especially impressed with the hat trick performance from Siri Houston, who got 5 goals in that tournament. You go down the list, we have Sherry Stewart. We got a lot of names down there that we could talk about. So when you come out of a tournament with this kind of result, so what do you take the seasons off trying to look for?
Well, I mean, for me, when I did it, it was always to sit down and look at how the team performed and what areas needed to be improved on, and what the plan would be moving forward. I think that the team needs to kind of focus on what little things they need to replace. I think the roster was the strongest roster that they've had in a very long time, top to bottom. I'm sure there's a few areas that the general manager and the coaching staff will want to improve on, and I think that they're going to come out and look hard into doing that. If you look at the history of the team from 2009, to now, I think every 2 years they've just gotten better and better and better. Again, the 4th place finish doesn't really show that, but that team, if you know the makeup of the team in the past 10 years, I think that team was loaded. Players like Colleen Murphy, Karen Levin, just kind of put the teams on their back for the weekend and played tremendous hockey all week long. And you had a lot of newcomers like Amanda Galvick, Lisa Kilroy, who also, in the minutes they played great. There wasn't too many things that, someone that's been around the team that I could really point at that I thought was anything but really done really well. So I think that, you just look to, to improve the team, with a couple little tweaks here and there and maybe find some more time to prepare and get ready because, the next tournament, while it's 2 years away, it's going to come on quick.
And this weekend, we will get to see a couple of them again when we get to the New Jersey, Philadelphia women's division this weekend after we make our visit to Tier 2 Philadelphia. But let's talk about the men's division from the tournament. I think that offense-wise, they played a great game. But of course, the big trouble for them was penalties. They took a lot of them. But despite all that, they did come out with a bronze after a fierce, I would say it's a developing rivalry with Greece. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every time they play Greece, they play them really hard. A couple of the players from the Greece team, the captain Barmas and his brother, they play with the coach of the U.S. team's, men's team, the Pittsburgh Gods. So they know each other really well. I know that both teams, besides playing with each other, I know that the coaching staffs talk to each other. I know that they model their games kind of off of each other. So I think the familiarity there is something that really breeds to those competitions. If you watch all the other games that the U.S. and the Greeks played, you didn't see it get as physical, I think. And I think, again, that's because they know each other really well. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And I think that they go at each other a little bit harder. I think it's going to be a great rivalry to come, moving forward, watching that, in the next set of Worlds.
And I look at the statistics at the end of the tournament, and it's pretty much a testament as to how good players from the Northeast are, from Pittsburgh, from New Jersey, in Buffalo, because of course you got Jordan Albright, who has 13 points coming out of Pittsburgh, Nick Carter, who has 13 points. You got Johnny Ruiz out in New Jersey, who has 13 points. Danny Schlegel from Buffalo has 11 points, and recently got put into the Hall of Fame. So I mean, their talent is there, but I mean, how is all this really reflective of how players have grown in the Northeastern region?
Well, I mean, the Northeast has always been kind of the hotbed for ball hockey, since the 70s was created. The Leominster region is the home, the start of it. Penn Hills in Pittsburgh was the second rink ever in the States. And then New Jersey, I think, put out one of the third. So, I mean, those regions have been running ball hockey for a long time, and they have big youth programs. I think New Jersey alone has over 3,000 kids playing across 20 different city, town leagues. And that's why you see that talent gets bred. The more competition there is, the better chance there is for someone to rise to the top. Denny Schlegel coming out of the Buffalo area, I know he had a big ice hockey background, and they're so close to the St. Catharines across the border that there's a lot of cross country play just in league up there. So those four areas producing those four players, it makes a lot of sense. You see a lot of top end ball hockey players coming out of those four spots in particular, but you can't sleep on the small areas like Chicago. Eddie Urban making the team this year, and a few players. Chris Haynes played for the team a few years back. He was out of Atlanta. There's plenty of talent across the country. But those four areas that you mentioned, they are definitely the hotbeds of ball hockey in the States right now.
And I do want to mention there's a couple of players that I think you already mentioned. Eddie Urban out of Chicago, who's Tier 2, got his first international goal. I was happy that Steve Gregory got a goal after having a lower body injury for a couple of games. So real happy to see that. Now, I'm pretty sure that you would love to see some Philadelphia guys in there, but to be fair, there's a lot of experience. There's a lot of Tier 1 players in there. It's a very competitive field. Now, if you were to choose one player from Philadelphia that could make it to a national team, who do you think that might be?
There's a couple different players you can think of. I mean, Bryce Herb, he was on the national team goaltender a few years back. He's probably one of the most prolific players from our area. There's a few up and coming, younger players that are coming out. I would say, from the Philadelphia Heat, his name's escaping me now. Connor. I apologize. I'm forgetting his last name.
Connor Mistravik?
McStravick, yeah, he's one of the top players in the Philly Tier 2 division. Hasn't made some games this year. I think he might have been an injury. He might be skipping the season, but he's one of the top end players. Matty Gribanovics, he's one of the top end players from the Heat as well. I think Matty, I know his brother's in the Masters age. Matty might be hitting that master stride soon. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the team his first year out. As far as the younger players, you don't see the younger players like you do out of New Jersey and Pittsburgh and all that, because there isn't a youth league here. There's some good young players, but that different level I think is out there. Thinking of longtime players from the Philadelphia leagues that I am a part of, that play in the Tier 1, New Jersey division, and someone like Frank Manercha is playing over there. Frank, been playing at the hockey deck in Philadelphia area for a long time, and a few of those players have moved up into that Tier 1, but they play over in New Jersey because there's not a Tier 1 in the Philly division. There's been talks of trying to get a Tier 1, in the Philly area, but we're so close to the Jersey division. We're only 35-minute drive from rink to rink. A lot of the players are already over there on established teams.
And let's get into the Philadelphia division now. We've already talked about that you have expanded into a Tier 3, which we'll talk about another day because they're off this week. But Harrisburg Hustle, they're performing as they're pretty much expected. Probably not at the level that they would like. They are at 4 wins, 1 loss, and 1 overtime loss. The Delco Demons, they're actually performing pretty decent, and I do have to say that they were one of my dark horse candidates for this year as far as Philadelphia division. Currently at 3 wins, 1 overtime win, and 2 losses. Philadelphia Heat, they're right now in the middle at 1, 2, and 2 with 7 points, but I mainly attribute that to missing some key pieces. And the Del Valle Kingsmen currently 1, 0, 2, and 2, 1 win, 2 regulation losses, 2 overtime losses. But I don't think that record really reflects how this team has been performing. So do you think that the Kingsmen are they just trying to find that stride? Because I know they got the talent in them.
No, they definitely have a good team. They're looking to kind of gel. They have like 4 different groups of players, all kind of assembled from that team from a couple different, local areas. They're led by now I can't remember his last name. The Tomlin brothers. There's 3 of them. They've been playing together, in the South Jersey leagues for a long time. They're recently moved up to this area, and they've jumped into a couple different leagues up here. So they've kind of found some players from those leagues. I think that going into the playoffs, they're going to be a team to contend with. They're going to find their stride as this last set of games get done in July, and I wouldn't sleep on them come August. And like you mentioned with the Heat, I think the Heat, they were my pick in the preseason, as being the potential team to give a big run, but not having Connor Mistravik joining them and then losing their leading scorer from last season to a year suspension. It's kind of put them, on a burner where they're looking for who's going to fill that scoring gap. That's where Matty Gribanovics comes in very well. He's been picking up the scoring from them, and they've been playing well. Like you said, the hustle is they're the hustle. Like they improved their team. They put in a Tier 3 team, and I think 5 of their players from their Tier 2 team last year went down to Tier 3, and they just got better. And they run a great system. They're coached by George Tarantino. He's got a long time history in the U.S. program and coaching Arsenal now, and he really puts a good system in with them. As far as the Demons, that's my club. They're being coached this year by Phil Cassidy, as someone's been working with the teams with me for a long time, and he did a really good job on revamping the team. Brought in some really good young players. Matt Cook is the one player that has kind of been a sleeper. He's moved down to the area from Pittsburgh, and he comes in with a ton of skill. There's a couple of young guys that he's brought into the team that has really helped them out. I think the Demons, if their young goaltender Nick Tchak, who is a top end elite roller hockey goaltender, if he can get on fire going into the playoffs, I think, like you said, they're the dark horse. They have the shot to coming out and win the division, I believe.
And of course they're facing a very competitive hustle team now. I've mentioned before when we came to Philadelphia that last year the hustle were more of a defensive style team. Their scoring wasn't their forte, but their defense carried them all the way toward the semifinal. But this year, they've completely flipped the script. They have been scoring. Now, 7 of their players are in the top 10 as far as points leaders on the division, with the other 3 being held by Demons. And right now, there's a tie for the top spot between Matt Cole and Brandon Tenkesly. So what is it? Do you think it is about the Hustle that they just changed their game plan, or what was it? The addition of players, or did they just decide to just throw everything at the net?
No, it was definitely addition of players. Tanksley, like you said, being tied for first. There's another kind of good example of where skill set for players come from. The Tanksley brothers that are on that team, their family ran a rink in Lancaster for years that recently just closed, and they've been playing the game since they were really young. And being in an environment like that where they had access to a rink all the time, their skill set really jumped up, above a lot of the other players from Lancaster area because of that. So it kind of shows you that, having that youth hockey foundation, really helps grow into the adult skill set. But I don't think that the Hustle changed their game plan, because if you look at their scoring, for and more against, they really are still that great defensive shutdown team. I think that they just added the right pieces that gave them that offensive boost. To now they're kind of a double threat in the game. They can score a lot, but they can also shut you down.
Now, while at the same time that I do say that the Hustle have been scoring a lot, there was an interesting tidbit that I found, and I was making comparisons across the entire league. And what was interesting is that of all the tier 2 divisions, Philadelphia is the only division where there's no player that has double-digit points. I understand that this is not an apples-to-apples comparison, because there are some divisions that have already completed the regular season. In fact, North Jersey is already in their final. Now, is this something that you're really going to have to adjust to, whoever wins the Philadelphia division when they play for the Lilac Cup?
No, well, I think the Philadelphia division is only halfway through the season right now, right? They still have, they still have another. I think each team has a minimum 2, if not 3 games left, so they're a little bit past halfway. So, but I think that it comes down to goaltending. The Philly tier 2 division has some really top end goaltending. Bryce Erb from the Hustle and Grivnovics from the Heat. They're both top end teams. Excuse me 1 second. They're both top end goaltenders that they've been doing it for a long time. They've both been looked at for national teams and for Masters national teams. So I think that you might see that the goaltending for the Philly division versus the other years is the other divisions is kind of skewed because of how good the defense and the goaltending is in the Philly division.
Yeah, I can't help but I know you have your little friend in the background. Who's your friend back there?
We have a new puppy, a Great Dane puppy. His name's Tiberius. He's about 12 weeks old, and he's just kind of into everything.
How'd you come up with the name?
My wife is a Star Trek fan, so James Tiberius Kirk. So that's how she came up with it. His name's actually Tiberius Broly. The second name is after Brian Broly, who ran ballhockey.com for years, who recently passed away during COVID. So he's 12-week-old, 13-week-old puppy. He's a big pain in the butt, but he's fun.
Good to see that. In fact, we had a dog run onto the court last season. I can't remember what division that was, but
that was over in the Jersey division. Yeah, I remember.
Was that Jersey?
In the video of that. Yeah.
That was a very interesting moment there. So let's wrap this up here with so as we get to near the last stages of the regular season for Philadelphia, how do you think everything is going to pan out as far as where everyone lies? What do you think the matchups are going to be for your divisional?
I think you'll see Hustle and Kingsman, in the 1-4 seed, and Demons and Heat in the 2-3 seed, and that's where it's going to come down to. It's a playoff, tournament style playoff series, so all the teams will come in for the one day, and have to play a couple games to win it all on the same day. So I think that you'll see the winner come out of division who comes with the deepest bench. Obviously, it's summertime, guys miss games all the time, but if a team that might be favored, comes in short 3, 4, 5 guys because guys missing out, it could really affect them, in that day trying to play multiple games in one day. But I think it's going to be a really even playoff series. I think that the winners are only going to come out winning by a goal, if they're lucky, and I think that you'll see some tremendous hockey.
And I would expect so. With the division now getting to their late stages, it's still anybody's race as far as seeding, but right now, the Hustle looking to hold on to that number 1 spot, but the Demons not too far behind. So we will definitely see how that plays out. Jason, thank you for joining us, and let's have us a great weekend of ball hockey.
All right, brother. Thank you very much, Daniel. Have a good one.